Harriet Hageman, the Trump endorsed candidate. Liz Cheney voted to impeach Donald Trump, served on the January 6th committee, and this shows that the Republicans did not like that whatsoever. This means that only 2 of the people who voted to impeach Donald Trump will be in Congress in November.
We're the bully busters. We eat straight rocks. If we catch you bullying, we'll knock off your socks. Yo, what's good? My name is Chester. Say a bad word and you're gone for the semester.
Hey, hello. My name's Wayne. Mess with my friends and you'll feel the pain.
What's up, my homies? The name is Jamie. Why be a goon when you can get more brainy?
Call a tariff a protective measure. It does protect. It protects the consumer very well against one thing. It protects the consumer against low prices.
The New World Order really consists of 3 aspects. There is a New World political system that everyone today is calling the New World Order. As well as that, there is an economic plan for the New World Order, and that is called the New World Economic Order. In addition to those 2 items, there is a 3rd plan for religion. You see, the planners of the world know that men need a religion of some kind, even if it's a false one. So they have a plan to give us a new age world global occultic religion. So really there's 3 aspects to this New World Order. A New World Economic Order in which a computer chip will be injected into our hands or foreheads as a means to track, control, and identify us, and will also be used to make our purchases and scan and store.
Well, they've already put the program in Los Angeles. In fact,
right.
A trilateralist named Mayor Bradley, Uncle Tom Bradley, was responsible for putting this in dogs.
Right.
And your children will be considered like animals. And
so the secret of waking up from the drama, the endless cycles, is the realization that the only time that there is the present. And when you become awake to that, boredom is at an end. And you are delivered from the cycles.
I'm here to implore you to join the new left. Yeah, we used to rage against the machine, but now we are the machine. We threw away all of our convictions and beliefs because the media said Trump is bad. He is a threat to our democracy. Occupy Wall Street? No. We march for and stand with Wall Street and the great business mogul and thought leaders like Klaus Schwab and George Soros, who are leading the way along with the World Economic Forum to save this democracy and the whole world. JP Morgan, Chase Bank, Bank of America, and Disney need us to fight alongside them because Trump and his supporters have eroded our institutions. Even though he was only in office for 4 years, it's his fault. Closing borders? Racist. Protecting people and keeping them safe? Racist and fascist. Supporting the police and keeping people safe? Fascist and racist. Prosecuting criminals? Racist. Get down on your knees before the altar of establishment politicians. Be angry. Ooh, I hate it here. Be unattractive. Vote blue. Enrage for the machine.
Robot, where can I find a therapist?
Alcohol is in aisle 10.
When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy.
Applying the seething energies of Lucifer is indeed what they had in mind as they built the city of DC as a massive Masonic ritual site, illuminated in the seasonal light of the Isis-Osiris star, Sirius, and filled with demonically charged architecture, idols, and magic street layouts, ultimately setting the table for the coming main event ritual, the raising of the final Osiris to rule the unified world kingdom. The goal of a unified world kingdom isn't anything new.
So now we've got our brown foundation. Of course, that kind of reminds me of like the Democratic Party. You got a solid brown foundation of minorities and all these rich white liberals right on top of them, using them for everything they can. Man, it's almost like they're still on that mental plantation. But it's the Republicans that are racist. Moving on.
If you can hear this, you are not alone. This is the resistance. You are not alone. This is the resistance. You are not alone. This is the resistance.
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of the Rundown Live, Kriston T. Harris.
Rundown Live, rundownlive.com, live on KGRA-DB, Hudson Valley, New York, Salt Lake City, and cataloged at band.video. Make sure you check out both band.video and KGRA-DB.com. We're also broadcasting live on multiple different platforms. Rockfin, what's up, Rockfin fam? How are you guys doing? Rumble, the Rumble, that's where everyone's moving to. And, of course, the YouTube Strike Zone, which only about 20 of our, 20,000 viewers have found. And it's wild to me. It's wild to me. But, that hasn't stopped you guys, the listeners, to sending us emails. And, by the way, if you guys want to send us love mail, hate mail, show tips at the Rundown Live, show tips at the Rundown Live. And this is a letter we received. I kind of pass it on, and Don gets a chance to see these things too. And this says, this is a letter from our listener, Jay Marshall. Hello, gentlemen. I've been listening to the Rundown Live for a couple of months now on KGRA. I haven't been able to source you guys live yet, but even the repeats are great. I've heard several topics from different episodes during the course of those months that I wanted to call in and chat about, as well as some other fun stuff. Don, I'm in East Richmond and go downtown, Short Pump, and Midlothian Ferry fairly regularly. Plenty of great restaurants and friends plays music pretty regularly at Uptown Alley and several other places around town. Kriston, I've heard you mention MXPX, which I am. I'm a huge MXPX fan. I love punk rock. I don't know many people who know who they were or are. Well, they're still around, by the way. I used to be fairly active in the Christian music scene and made my living working in it for a decade. Well, if you know, MXPX always said we're not a Christian band, but we're Christians in a band. So I don't know how that qualifies, but Jay Marshall, you rock. It says, would love to chat with you with both someday and see if there's anything I can do to help you guys out. In the meantime, I'll head on over to your store and look for some swag to support you both and what you are doing. Blessings, my friends. I always look forward to my lunchtime audio of the Rundown Live with a side bowl of what the hell. I love it, Jay Marshall. And I mean, that's what it's about.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Jay Marshall, you rock. If you want to send your emails and have them read here on the Rundown Live, you can. Show tips at therundownlive.com. Or you can go to our link tree on therundownlive.com. But speaking of what the hell, Don already knows what's coming on.
Oh boy.
Oh, like what the hell is this? Have you? I don't know. This has been making its round on Twitter, right? This is what the latest fashion trend is. And if you're watching right now, check this out. I think this is a dude. Like, look at that. For the listeners out there that don't know what we are viewing is a fashion cloth, like a piece of like what Don claims is like a potato sack. But what you don't see is that he's walking on like cell phone shoes. The shoes are on the tip. Imagine a cell phone at a 45-degree angle, and then there's a like, you know how with the cell phone you have the little rings you put in the back and you prop it up to stand up. It looks like this dude. I think he's a dude. I'm going to go ahead and say that is a male. I'm not sure how he identifies, but gender-wise, he does probably have the swinging udder over there. But what he has is he's wearing a belt just underneath the man boobs, but the belt, and you can see because the sides are completely open, are going around his arms, and he's handcuffed. I mean, how does he suck his thumb with that thing on? Like he can't do anything. Look at it.
It's crazy.
You guys got to come check this out. Go to the Rockfin, therundownlive.com. Clip on the video feed if you're joining us or on kgradb.com. But I can't believe, like, how much do you have to dehumanize yourself to get into that thing? Nonetheless, how does he get into it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would assume he's like going through the side and then like open up the. I don't know, man. It's crazy, but the amount of ridiculous stuff that we see.
I'm dying. Oh, we got a guest today, by the way, guys. Our guest is Jim. Look, I can't even talk. I'm having a stroke on air.
Luis Jimenez from the
Jimenez
Big
is joining
Home
us. He's a singularity and UFO expert. He is being part of the Big Phone Home, which is taking place tomorrow. So don't go anywhere today. And we're going to be talking a little bit about UFOs. Isn't it funny? Of all the topics you can and can't talk about, UFOs have become okay while they want to censor everything. Although they did say that they were planning on censoring UFO videos in the near future. If you listen to the last hearing, it's more misinformation. But a little bit about our guest, Luis Jimenez. He is a Cuban-American-born actor and host of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, a daily UAP and UFO review channel, taking the topic of UAPs seriously, not himself too seriously, with a strong passion for bipartisan politics, which is what we do here. Although sometimes we swing one way or the other, it depends which way the legs walk, kind of like this dude that we just saw on the screen wearing a potato sack, a leather potato sack for a fashion show. Like literally what we're laughing at is this dude walking around doing his fashion show. I still can't stop talking about it. Luis organized the first ever organized call to action live stream event called the Big Phone Home. So he's the event organizer. We're going to get into UFOs. We're going to get into this recent photograph, which people like Jason Calavito, the ultimate skeptic. He don't believe in any conspiracies except for Russian collusion and, Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and everything else is January 6th. They got their own conspiracies, they believe. Yeah. But anyways.
It's so ironic that, the only conspiracy he believes in, the Russiagate, is the one that never happened.
Confirmation bias, and don't get me wrong. So I tried to say, like, on this show, we're all about feeding your brain. Okay. We want to give you raw data, real information for you to grow healthy ideas. And sometimes it's against the propaganda. It's against the official narrative. And we aren't afraid to research fringe topics, which, UFOs and UAPs are now just mainstream. Like Alex Jones is banned, but we can have the government and take government pictures of UAPs being, broadcasted. But anyways, Don, I got to ask you and the listeners out there, because we got our guest coming up somewhat shortly. But if you guys, and I want to, if you guys want to send us an email, show tips at the Rundown Live, you can tweet us at Rundown Live, and you guys got answers, or you guys can get in the chat on Rockfin, YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere else this broadcast has video on, and the KGRA members only area. But my question to you guys is, and you can drop comments in the chat, if you guys had a UFO, and let's say you're sitting in the back porch, and like we do here in Wisconsin, we have the beer, right? We drink the beer, we sit in the back porch, and then we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden this UFO starts landing, and then like an alien walks out. I don't know. Take your pick. Maybe it's a reptile. Maybe it's a Nordic looking. Maybe it's the yellow type. Maybe it's the grays. But they walk out and they come down and they sit down next to you, and you can ask them anything you want.
We may have lost Kriston. Yeah, okay, he's frozen. I was trying to see if that was on my end. But the question that Kriston is getting to, if the aliens came down, they landed, ask them anything you want. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I think my question would probably be, how much do you guys have a disdain for the tribalist politics and the identity politics that go on planet Earth, right? We're gonna head over here into the chat. We're gonna see if we got anybody in the chat asking any questions. Not seeing any right now. But yeah, that'd be essentially my main question is what happens to the what is your civilization like? Well, how is their civilization really? Yes, he does, Andy. How is their civilization different from ours, really? So that'd be a really, really interesting question. Another interesting question would be, why are you wasting time on Earth? That's a fantastic question. Why bring yourselves down here with the war, with the ecocide, with the ridiculous potato sack fashion shows? So, yes, that'd be a fantastic question to try to figure out exactly what the hell they're doing here. And probably the next question, at least I personally would have, because y'all know that I always research and study all sorts of weird stuff. How long have they been visiting? Because, of course, did you have anything to do with the pyramids? Perhaps, you never know, Anunnaki, Atlantis, who knows? But yeah, certainly interesting, interesting topics. And, just seeing, exactly what they would be interested in, what their favorite food, perhaps. Have no idea. We would let's go on over here and see if we can get some news going while we have Kriston attempting to fix his connection issues. So right now, I'm just I popped over to the wrong screen. That's my bad. Gonna open this tab. And so recently, NASA has announced that they are going to be, and yes, I know, detractors, NASA, never a straight answer. I get that. But I always find it to be really interesting. NASA is going full force to gear up for this upcoming UFO studies. Essentially what is happening is that there's this big UFO study happening, and I actually just saw this today from space.com, so I figured it'd be a pretty good thing to bring up on today's episode, maybe talk to Lewis about it a little bit, see what Kriston's opinion on it would be whenever he's able to pop back into the chat. But essentially, this is by Mike Wall out of space.com. This is really important to us, and we're placing a high priority on it, they claim. As NASA is taking its coming UFO not taking its coming UFO investigation lightly. I kind of doubt that. Of course, we saw, for those of you that saw our episode covering the hearing in Congress, that the huge nothing burger where they claim they're going to censor UFO misinformation and all of that. That's essentially the only positive thing we really gleaned. Not a positive thing, but the only real hard information we gleaned from that is that they plan to censor information about UFOs. But it says the agency announced that in June, it will open announced in June that it will open a scientific study into UFOs, short for unidentified flying objects, or now as they've rebranded them, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. What do you guys think about that? Why rebrand it? I don't understand the rebranding of UFOs to UAPs. They have some sort of idea as to shift the narrative, I would assume. What's your opinion on that? We got Andy VW in the chat. I think humanity started in Helsinki, Finland, in my opinion. Maybe there is a ultra-terrestrials involved. Not exactly sure what an ultra-terrestrial is. Maybe fill us in the chat. Always love learning new things. Let's jump back into this space.com article, see what they have to say. It says the main goals, NASA officials said at the time, will be to identify and characterize the available UFO data, lay out the best ways to collect observations in the future, and determine how the agency can use such data to advance our understanding of these puzzling things in the sky. Well, I would say if they actually cared about helping us understand what's really going on in the sky with the UFOs, maybe they could talk to actual experts, actual people who've spent their time studying this subject. Maybe people like Don Schmidt we had on the show. For those of you that saw our Roswell episode, fantastic guest, fantastic conversation. It's one of my favorites, quite honestly. Maybe talk to people like Don Schmidt, who wrote an entire book, Witness to Roswell. In my opinion, the most comprehensive Roswell account of Roswell accounts, if you will. It's this really fantastic book. I'm about 10 chapters in, maybe 10, 11 chapters. And if you haven't picked it up yet, definitely pick it up. It's a fantastic book. This says the study will be led by astrophysicist David Spergel, president of the Simmons Foundation in New York City. It's expected to cost no more than $100,000. Well, that's good. At least they're not going to be wasting our tax dollars on some other project that the government's probably going to foul up anyway. Am I right? Begin this fall and last about 9 months, and NASA is working hard to keep to that schedule. Officials said Wednesday, August 17th, during a town hall meeting that discussed various projects of the agency's Science Missions Directorate. We're going full force on preparations for the UAP study, Daniel Evans, Assistant Deputy Associate Administrator for Research at SMD, said during Wednesday's town hall. This is really important to us, and we're placing a high priority on it. Somehow, I doubt that. The study panel will consist of 15 to 17 people, Evans added. These folks will be some of the world's leading scientists, data practitioners, artificial intelligence practitioners, aerospace safety experts, with all with a specific charge, which is to tell us how to apply the full focus of science and data to UAPs, he said. Now, again, going back to, exactly what kind of experts do you think they're going to have on this thing? Because last I checked, the government doesn't have a really good track record of, bringing experts up to talk about certain subjects. They typically bring people on who sort of carry the establishment line, especially we've seen that a lot with the 9/11 investigations and, of course, the war crimes investigations and all sorts of things like that. So you think we're going to see a Bob Lazar on there? I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Bob Lazar. Is he making stuff up? Maybe. I've seen some inconsistencies in some of the stories he tells. Maybe he's getting older. Who knows? We all lose our memory when we get a little older. Hell, I'm only 27. I'm starting to lose some of my memory too. So it happens to the best of us. But they're going to have Bob Lazar, maybe Dr. Stephen Greer. I know some people have some mixed feelings about Dr. Greer as well. But if you remember the 2001 disclosure project that occurred at the Washington, D.C. press club, they brought in multiple experts from aerospace, from the military, from the national security, all of that, to come forward and talk about their personal UFO experiences. And so I'd be very curious as to whether or not they would actually have these individuals to come speak, or if they're actually going to have people. You remember, like at the congressional meeting that we covered a few months back, they had their experts sitting up on the stands. As I've never heard of the event in which the UFO took out shut down the nuclear silo when they were performing these missile tests. Says Evans and his team have identified their top candidates for the panel and plan to run them by NASA Administrator Bill Nelson later on Wednesday after the town hall. Provided Nelson gave the thumbs up, the wheels have now started turning on the panelists' formal appointments. Seems like we have a video here that they've attached. So we're going to go ahead and check this out a little bit. Wow, that really decreased the size of it, but whatever. We're going to go ahead and check this out. Hopefully it doesn't play the sound. If it do, we'll go ahead and mute it. Or well, let's see what this gentleman has to say for a little bit.
It may be recorded or not. It may be observable by one or multiple assets. In short, there's rarely an easy answer. For example, let me share with you the first video that we have here today, which shows an observation in real time. There it was. That's, in many cases, that's all that a report may include. And in many other cases, we have far less than this. As we detailed in both the unclassified and classified versions of the preliminary assessment released by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence last June, this often limited amount of high-quality data and reporting hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent of UAP. As detailed in the ODNI report, if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they likely fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, or a other bin that allows for a holding bin of difficult cases and for the possibility of surprise and potential scientific discovery. We stand by those initial results. Since the release of that preliminary report, UAP Task Force database has now grown to contain approximately 400 reports. The stigma has been reduced. We've also made progress in resolving the character of a limited number of UAP encounters. For example, let me show you a couple of another video and image.
Before they hop to that image, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, bring you some information from our sponsors, the great people that happen to make this show happen. So we will see you right around the bend, but when we hear back from these commercial breaks.
Looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people play cornhole in the park. Seems like a good place to toss a bag around. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they're too friendly. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. Let's take the case of Ronald Farber. Ronald played cornhole all afternoon, and he didn't feel like throwing bags alone, so he decided to ask another boy. He'd done it 100 times before. He didn't think anything was unusual when the boy struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. What Ronald didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like swine flu, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a conspiracy theorist, a paranoid person with a desperate need to feel they have a special knowledge that somehow sets them apart from the masses. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful. If they are too open-minded, if they question the official versions of the facts, and if they don't trust the United States government. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. He may appear normal.
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents. And what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right. We're your radio program. We're your station, and we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information, because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on the rundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right, check them out. They're great, and there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
Oil and slave labor. These two wonderful industries make modern life a breeze. And what this fine little filly doesn't realize is that her chic accessories and stunning appearance come from oil and slave labor.
Huh?
That's right, classy lassie. Everything from your thong to your nail polish, your smartphone to your eyelashes come from oil and slave labor. Your top from Uzbekistan. Shorts from China. Jewelry from Indonesia. And your iPhone from Taiwan.
Oh no, not my iPhone!
Steve Jobs may have been a genius, but he couldn't work like a 5-year-old Asian boy can. Even your bra and panties from Bangladesh. Whoa there! Looks like science can go no further. Except for these silicone beauties from DuPont.
Hey.
Oil and slave labor, making the Western world beautiful.
Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. We are back here at the bottom of the first hour on KGRA. And you know what? We need you guys' help. We need you to drop comments in the chat. We need you on the Rockfin. It's great if you just listen to the audio feed. Definitely check out the video feeds on the Rockfin, on the Rumble, and maybe YouTube if you like to support Google, but we don't do that over here. But we have a guest joining us today. We have Luis Jimenez. He is the event organizer for the Big Phone Home event. It is happening tomorrow. Welcome to the program, Luis. It's nice to have you here.
Hey, man. Thanks. Thank you for having me, Don. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Kristan will be joining us whenever he has the ability to come back in. We're assuming he had maybe a power outage or something. There's been a lot of power outages going on. Yesterday, we didn't do a live show because the studio in Utah went out. They had a power outage. So it's happening all over the place. But it's fantastic to have you here. Just for the listeners who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on tomorrow.
Hi, listeners. My name is Luis Jimenez. I'm the host and creator of the YouTube channel called the Unidentified Celebrity Review. I'm an actor in Los Angeles, so that's like my full-time gig, and then do this on the side and have fun with it. The Big Phone Home 3, it's our third event. We did 2 last year. We're doing, we're probably going to make it a yearly event. Doing 2 a year it's a lot of work. It's essentially a gathering of professionals, amateurs, scientists, journalists, veterans, researchers, laymen's, to come together on one day and even though we disagree on a lot of other things maybe about this topic, but the idea is to come together on one day and agree on one thing, and that is that we believe our government has more information, more data on this discussion, and so let's all come together on the same day and ask for it. I think it's more impactful than if we do it individually at separate random times. I think if Congress gets 1,000, 2,000 emails, phone calls, tweets, they're going to pay attention, at the very least.
Right.
So that's the idea behind it, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I think the first 2 events were, I always tell this to people, we don't know how to measure it. We don't know how successful we really are, but we do know that the effort doesn't hurt.
Right.
It doesn't hurt disclosure. So, and also I feel like it's a valuable lesson in how to interact with your government, how to ask for things, how to, as a citizen, we have this right. There's sort of this thing that we're not doing. I mean, we could protest, that's a form, but, also emailing, writing, tweeting, contacting your lawmakers, your senator, your congressman, and letting them know the issues that are important to you and that you'll be watching them vote on these issues or talk about these issues. And you'll be voting in the next election based on how they treat those issues. That's a powerful tool, and it doesn't take a lot of people to get a congressman to go, okay, I better start paying attention to this, you know, or a
Right.
lawmaker. And I think we've seen that happen here in the last, especially this last year. You know, we saw the NDAA, the UFO and UAP language get written into it last year. This year, we see these offices opening. That's a direct correlation to what happened last year. Next year, I think it's going to be even more fun because these offices will have been established. They have processes in place. We should get reports. We're due a report on October 31st of this year. I heard that may have been pushed back. I gotta confirm that. But we're supposed to have our first report from this office on Halloween, which is funny, but that's what it is. And I think the reports we get next year, the hearings that we're going to continue to get, this conversation isn't going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. And hopefully with that, the stigma of it dies along with it.
Right. Most definitely, you know, because that's been one of the biggest challenges of this whole movement is, you know, for the longest time, the federal government, they tell us, oh, it's all a bunch of hooey, it's poppycock, it's nonsense, and you're a lunatic if you talk about things in the sky. And then all of a sudden, around 2016-ish, the government decides that they want to start, you know, talking about things in the sky, which is really interesting. And, you know, it's sort of like, we all know they're doing it in a disingenuous way. You know, we see, you know, the last press conference that they had, which before you came on was actually reading an article out of space.com talking about the NASA currently has a study or is preparing for a study that they're going on. And there's in the article, there was some clips from that press conference in Congress just a few months back that we covered. And, you know, one of the biggest concerns of that, as I was talking to the audience, is that they were talking about censoring UFO misinformation. So, you know, so clearly, you know, as they do all the time with literally anything, they wanted to really control this narrative. And I think, in my opinion, that's really the big push behind this agenda to bring out a lot of this stuff in the public sector from these official sources is not necessarily that the pathological liars that run our government woke up one day and said, oh, well, we're going to tell the truth about probably the most important topic to humanity. Because, of course, if all of humanity were to come to the collective realization, we're not the only thing out there. There are intelligent life forms out there. They have been visiting us. Perhaps they've even had a hand in our development as a species. It would turn everything up on its head. So very doubtful these people just woke up and said, we're going to tell the truth about this particularly important topic. But it's more so wanting to get out in front of it and sort of control the narrative, the slow leak, so that they don't get bit in the ass in a way. What do you think about that?
I think parts of it are true. I mean, look, I don't trust our government, but I also believe that I'd say 95% of the people that make up our government, and that's such a paintbrush term. There's so many ins and outs and parts of our government, people that work for our government that are very average, very nice people. And I think that's about 95 to, I even say 98%. I think there's a 2% that's very powerful, that's very influential, that has the controls for all the strings, and those parts I think are very nefarious and can be deceitful. I think this is more of, instead of a slow leak kind of thing, I think the paradigm of are we alone in the universe is something I think that worldwide has already been accepted. I think most people can agree that, man, it's a big universe and there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't even understand 100% what gravity is.
Right.
You know, like we've got so much more to build and grow as a species before we start answering some big questions. What I think is happening is you've got things like thermal imaging cameras, you've got LiDAR, you've got really powerful lenses and FLIR camera systems, and all sorts of instruments that have been super expensive and out of the reach of the average consumer. These things have calmed down immensely in price. I mean, you go on Instagram now and you can find an endless amount of astronomers taking beautiful pictures and videos of the skies with their really powerful telescopes that 20 years ago would have been unattainable to get in your backyard, and now they have them. I think that the James Webb Telescope is a part of this as well. I think that, and I didn't even mention the Galileo project, and that's who we're having on our show tomorrow. One of our big guests is Avi Loeb, Harvard professor. I think what's happening is the technology has finally hit the consumer to a point where I think an average consumer, if they had the right instruments, if they had the proper budget, might be able to get a really clear picture or video evidence to beat the United States government to the punch. And I think all of this technology is forcing the hand of the United States government and other governments to be like, okay, we're going to have to start talking about this so we can get control of the narrative. Because we don't want some guy in his backyard or a Harvard professor to determine the narrative of what this is going to be. Or even worse, like, what if China is the first to the world table and comes to the table with proof on this? My whole thing is, obviously you and me and a lot of Americans have a trust issue with our government. There's zero trust. I think the first government to come to the table with this and be honest about it with their constituents is going to win so much trust from them. Because if you can be honest about this, even a little bit, it's amazing to see how much of the trust rope citizens are willing to give you. And also, I think there is a really intellectual part of our government that says, you know what, 10 times out of 10, the covering up of the thing that we don't want people to see turns out to be worse, more damaging, and a hit to our reputation than if we just released the thing.
Right. I mean, we saw that with Roswell. I was talking about Witness to Roswell by Don Schmidt right before the break, and it's that book. I'm not sure if you've read it or if you've spoken with Don, but it's a fantastic.
I haven't spoken with Don. I have not read the book. I've seen a lot of Don's speeches and roundtables. So I've got I've seen a lot of his video interviews that he did, and thank God he got those.
Yes,
those were amazing. But yeah, there's I mean, yeah, we could. I don't want to open the can of Roswell worms, but
right.
But like for me, it's a great story. It kicked off the whole lore. I just for me, doing what I'm doing today, it just doesn't interest a senator. So
right.
I just
I
for me, it's not something that I talk about a whole lot. But yes, I'm familiar with Don Schmidt. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on
no.
But yeah, what were you saying about Don?
Yeah.
And
Well, the point is, essentially, with the Roswell narrative, for example, we've seen, the cover up or the alleged cover up or whatever it is with that situation, and just the way it has ballooned the UFO topic. I think, in a way, they're starting to realize maybe, as you said, covering things up causes more of a backfire than just being transparent and saying, hey, we don't know what this thing is. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, hell yeah, there's extraterrestrials. Just the honesty of, we don't know what this is, but it's not human. It didn't come from this planet. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think would go a long way.
I think you're right, but I think that declaration in 1947 would have been way different than that declaration in 2022.
Absolutely.
It's a different world. We're a lot better connected. I think the persona that was the American exceptionalism, okay, that shield of American exceptionalism, it was so set in stone in 1947, and 2023 that has eroded and almost completely rusted out. if they come out today and give us definitive proof that, yeah, Roswell was an alien crash, here's the bodies, here's the craft, holy cow, that shield instantly comes back like something in Harry Potter, like all of a sudden it's restored, or like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, like as soon as they kiss, boom, everything is restored. And so, like that would be like the kiss in Back to the Future if they were honest. I think it would go a really, really long way into giving the permission for Americans to be like, oh yeah, I trust you, government. Thank you for giving me the information on all of this shit we've been asking questions about for the last 70 plus years. I think it's why the very first initiative for the Big Phone Home 3 this year is to improve FOIA.
Mm-hmm.
FOIA is, Jazz Shaw and John Greenwald don't call it broken, but if it's not broken, it has been beaten, battered, and dragged through the streets. And it needs to be improved upon. It needs to be talked about more. And the reason why we made it initiative number 1 is because it's an initiative that all Americans can get behind, not just the Americans that are UFO interested.
Exactly.
FOIA is a process that could do good for all journalists. I think it could also go a long way into helping mainstream media become a little bit more accurate and beholden to the facts, as opposed to just running with stories. Like I see how inaccurate mainstream media news is when I see them report on this, especially with the videos that they play in the background. 9 times out of 10, there's at least one that is 100% fake, like debunked
exactly.
CGI kind of footage. And I'm like, damn it, man. Like, how did this even get in there? Who put this in there? And then also the facts that they're saying on the show sometimes just are wrong. And I'm like, wow, man, this is terrible reporting. They could have done way better on this. And so then I go, well, what else are they getting wrong? Like if they, there's a couple topics that I know a lot about. And when I see them portrayed in mainstream news, I see, man, where they got the huge inaccuracies of it. And to me, that's kind of where I stopped watching the mainstream news for this kind of news and anything else. So I think, again, improving the FOIA process, giving that power to citizens to get answers, to help these lawmakers to get more clarity on all sorts of topics, not just UFOs. Essentially that's what we're demanding for. We're demanding for more clarity, more transparency with that FOIA request. And so, our first template on our website, thebigphonehome.com, we have a petition there. The petition is asking for the full release of all data in regards to the Gimbal, the Go Fast, and Tic Tac videos. Releasing the full versions of those videos would be immensely helpful into bringing more clarity, but also scientifically determining whether or not these 3 videos are extraordinary. Like, we need the clarity on that. We were told they were extraordinary when they first came out, but when people started doing the physics and the math work on it, it turns out they're not as extraordinary as they claim. But we do know that there's longer versions of these videos. Lieutenant Graves said so after one of the hearings. So we're asking for the full versions and all data and all angles related to those videos, because if we can get 2 different cameras, because usually if there's one plane recording it, it's in a squadron, which means that there's other planes recording it. There's submarines recording it. There's aircraft carriers. There's reconnaissance planes. There's all sorts of stuff when it comes to flying in squadrons like that. And also, we know this data exists. You've publicly released it. So why can't we have the longer versions of this? It's already been, it wasn't even classified. Like, this is not classified stuff. So we would like to see the full versions of these videos. And we know at the very least with Gimbal, there's another 4 minutes to that video, according to Ryan Graves. So we can have up to 25 minutes worth of, extra footage that people can open source, that we as the public can comb over, do the murder board, scientifically break it down as best we can, and then whatever we are able to peel off of it, let's see what stands. And if it stands to be, put on the table as proof that, okay, we scientifically must look at this now. We legislatively must talk about this and start preparing for this now. It adds a whole nother level to this discussion. For example, we just had the Calvine UFO photo come out.
Yes, I was going to bring that up as well. We talked about it a little bit before.
An amazing find, right? Something we've been asking for years. These guys found it, they put it out, and now it's going through the murder board, right? Now it's getting picked apart, including by me, because like I need something that I could put on in front of my mother and go, you see that thing I said that I saw when I was 13? It's real. All of this is real. And now let's start having a conversation about it. What does that mean for society? But we've got this photo, and it's a cool photo, but man, it doesn't answer the big question. And the more you look at the photo, it's like, okay, we don't know who the photographers are. We don't know exactly the spot where this photo was taken. We don't have the information that's been classified by the MOD and the U.S. intelligence community. There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered about this photo. We need more. We just need more data. We need more data on this photo. A lot of people say it's a reflection. And they've built models and simulations to show how this could be a photograph of a reflection. And it doesn't even have to be a lake. It could be a puddle, So like the issues with this photograph, I mean, it's so ambiguous. There's no definable landmarks. We can't tell what direction any of these, other than maybe the airplane, are we looking north? Are we looking south? Are we looking west? Who took the photos? Where were they taken on? What, we know the film, we know the camera, but we haven't heard from these witnesses. They've never been asked questions by the public. And people think this is a photo that proves UFOs are real, or that this is the clearest photo of a UFO ever. And I disagree. I just simply disagree. I think we need better than this. This is good. The work that went into it, the boots on the ground efforts to get this photo released, amazing. Amazing. And I will never, ever, ever, ever badmouth that. But to put this photo out there and kind of suggest this is the clearest, best evidence we've ever had of a UFO ever, I disagree. Yeah. And if it was, it would be all over Tucker. Gaddy Shorts would be I'd be all over mainstream news. Right. The biggest name that talked about this was Joe Rogan, and it was in a tweet.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's big. I'm not downplaying that, but it's not zeitgeist changing.
Exactly. Yeah.
For me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I concur. It's definitely one of those things. Because of course you have the skeptics out there that are like, "Oh, it's a reflection of a mountain or something." And as you said, there's no discerning landmarks. We're not exactly sure who took the photograph. I know in the article that I had brought up from my colleagues over there at the Pulse. Let me see if I can bring this back up on the screen. I believe they mention. Let's just look at here. Former RAF officer Craig Lindsay has revealed a UFO photo that he has kept hidden for 32 years. In August of 1990, the photos were given to the Daily Record, who then turned them over to the Minister of Defense. At that point, the photographs simply vanished, along with the two young men who took them. So that's one of the biggest questions. It's not only it's not only that the photo disappeared. The people who took them vanished.
Yeah. And also, like, Craig Lindsay, he just had a copy of it. He had no part in reporting it or analyzing it, or it just happened to come. And when they were, here's another thing. Like, nobody asked him, "How'd you get this picture? How did this come into your possession?" Because he says he's been waiting 32 years for somebody to ask him about this. Okay, great. Well, why? First of all, why do we have to come to you? You're the one with the picture. We're the ones looking for it. You couldn't drop a line
Right.
somewhere saying, hey, I think I have the picture people are looking for. Like you had to wait until somebody Dr. David Clark, who's the gentleman who did the heavy reporting on this, said he'd given up. I mean, he was at a point where he was going around in Scotland, literally going to coffee shops and barber shops and asking just random, hey, have you guys ever heard of this Kawa UFO thing? And 9 times out of 10 it was like, no, and then it goes from that to, I've been asking for you guys to ask me about this photo for 32 years. Like, whoa. Who led you to this guy? How did we get to that former Royal Air Force officer? They don't talk about that.
Yeah,
and look, maybe there's more data. Maybe there's more research and stuff that they're waiting on before they could release another version of the story. And maybe I'm wrong about it. I don't even want to say I'm wrong because I'm not making any predictions here. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm just saying I need more data, and to come to a conclusion, because I think what people are doing is they're taking this photo and they've come to the conclusion it's the best photo of alien craft they've ever seen.
Right.
And I'm going, I don't see that here. I don't know how you're coming to that conclusion, right? We're skipping a lot of work.
Yeah, we're seeing this fervor among the UFO community, sort of in a way, at least this is what I've observed, sort of likening this photo to more like the Patterson-Gimlin, like Sasquatch, remember they took back in the, and so like that's a lot of the excitement that I'm seeing around it. And, as you said, yes, it's a great photograph, but it just with the chain of how it was disclosed to the public, there's a lot of missing continuity there as to, first of all, where the hell are the people that took it? There's a lot of missing questions here.
Right.
But, I would love to get your opinion on a lot of this stuff more. Would you like to stay for the next half hour? Or do you?
Dude, I can stay for as long as you need me, man.
Fantastic. Well, we're coming across commercial break, so we're going to send it off to the people that make this show happen. And do not touch the dial. Do not miss the show. We'll be back.
Don't go anywhere.
It lurks in the forest. A 45-foot-high stone owl ready to sacrifice an effigy. It's Moloch! 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 The great horned giant Babylonian pagan fire god mascot of the Bohemian Grove! Watch Moloch's annual ritualistic thrill show spectacular, The Creation of Care! Businessmen, bankers, politicians, and presidents side by side, ridding themselves of dull care. For 2 weeks in July, the elite are out to cross-dress, drink wine, and touch penises. That's right, it's Man-O-Rama! This hooded rogue satanic summer camp with skulls is men only. Getting down and dirty in the woods. Plus gourmet food.
A barbecue. A baby barbecue. They want to barbecue the babies.
But remember, weeding spiders come not here.
Mr. Gergen, say hi to Moloch for me, Canaanite deity, and I'll see you at Eyes Wide Shut, baby.
Located at 20601 Bohemian Avenue, just off the 12 freeway in Monterey, exactly 75.2 miles north of San Francisco. Turn right on Fulton, left on Occidental, right at Green Hill, another left at Brighton, right at Bohemian Highway, and one more right at Bohemian Avenue, and you're there! Brought to you by MK Ultra. Be Control. Be Ultra.
Weaving spiders come out here? Yeah!
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents. And what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right. We're your radio program. We're your station. And we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information, because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on therundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right. Check them out. They're great. And there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a new world order, a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, when we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. Until now, the world we've known has been a world divided, a world of barbed wire and concrete block, conflict, Cold War. Now we can see a new world coming into view, a world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order. In the words of Winston Churchill, a world order in which the principles of justice and fair play protect the weak against the strong. A world where the United Nations, freed from Cold War stalemate, is poised to fulfill the historic
time and time again about a new world order. And this is the best chance to begin to establish the new world order. And that's why the stakes are so high.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. An era in which the nations of the world, East and West, North and South, can prosper and live in harmony. 100 generations have searched for this elusive path to peace, while a
Rundown Live, rundownlive.com, and we are back at the top of the hour. We are here with Luis Jimenez. He is the organizer of the Big Phone Home Conference that is taking place tomorrow. If you've missed any of the previous part of the conversation, which I really hope you didn't, we've been talking a lot about the disclosure and the need for more people to come together and demand, really, that our lawmakers, the people in charge, the people who run the show, demand that they can be more, subservient to the people that actually put them in power and release this information that we're asking them to be released. And you know what? For the people in the comments, if you have any questions for Luis, drop the comments in the chat. We'll put them on the screen. We'll read them out. What do you think is going on with a lot of this disclosure? What is your opinion on it? What do you think would be one of the most effective things for our governments to be most transparent about? Drop the comments in the chat. Share the live feed on the Rockfin, on the Rumble. Let us know what your thoughts are. Welcome back, Luis.
Good to be back.
I think I have frozen somehow, but I think
we hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you guys can hear me. That's all that really matters. That's all that really matters. Jumping back into this Calvine UFO photograph.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see, a lot of the fervor that's going on, around this release. And as you have said, And as you have said, it is not necessarily the holy grail, essentially, that they've purported it to be. Really quickly, I'm going to have my producer Chanel hop in here just for a moment, just so I can exit out and see if I can get my camera working again.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, usually when you back out and come back in, it works. I mean, you know, I've got a show. I could carry it on from here if you want.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, what's shaking?
Not a whole lot. So Lou, tell us about this big phone home event that you're doing.
Yeah, so it's tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's an 8-hour live stream. We're going to be having guests join us every hour. We're going to be showing you guys our website, thebigphonehome.com, how to use it, which is really easy. It's very self-explanatory. But you know, we'll be sending out tweets every hour, every pretty much minute for the whole show. You know, contacting lawmakers, contacting celebrities that are into the topic, trying to see if we can get anybody to come talk to us about the UAP topic and help us, like I said, advocate to improve the FOIA process, advocate for longer versions of the 3 videos that have been released, advocate for public AMA forums with the Aero office and members of our Congress and Senate. You know, these are things that we're all going to be advocating for. Yeah, and there's our website. There's our, you know, step 1, which is a sign our petition, again asking for the full release of all the data on the 3 videos. Step 2 is you can find your reps on Congress or the Senate. There, you just put in your zip code and it tells you exactly who to call and what their information or email. And then when you go down to step 3, you've got make a phone call. And so this is like essentially a script for when you make a phone call. You could read this whole thing to them, or you could take parts of it and elaborate and say whatever you want. You know, we're all trying, the reason why we're trying to say the same thing is so that it kind of, the request is the same and you know, it doesn't get lost in the mix of other messages. And, you know, we say, keep it short, keep it respectful, and try to keep your personal stuff out of it. And, you know, and it'll be, I think, very successful. And then you've got another part. There's like 3 parts to step 3. You can send an email. And then we've also got, which is our email template. The first template, if you click on email there, was written by John Greenwald. And it's an email template asking for FOIA, the improvement of FOIA. So you don't have to read the whole thing now, but that's there. And then we've also got an Australian template written by Grant Levac, who is a UAP advocate in Australia, who's done some really great work contacting his senator and MP or Australian Parliament, I guess it'd be AP. And so that's his template. So if you're in Australia, you could use this template to get in touch with your lawmaker and tell them, you know, what you're concerned about. And then if you go to the last part of step 3, which is send a tweet, you'll see there that we have a couple of tweets that you could copy and paste and send out yourself. But if you scroll down, you will also see that we've put every single one of the 6 committees that we're asking people to get in touch with every single member of that committee and every single representative of that committee. So you can tweet at them. Their handles are there. You don't have to go looking for them. You could literally target all of your tweets to certain committees or certain senators. And so that's why we have over 250 automated tweets for tomorrow, because the tweets are contacting not only these committees, but they're individually contacting every single senator and congressman and inviting them on our show. Or if they're not going to come on the show, check out our website and see what we're doing, see what people are talking about. And we're using our hashtag, #TheBigPhoneHome3, so we can get this trending. We can get people talking about it, sharing, and not only talking and sharing about it, but participating. Like, this is super simple. And again, like, you know, the FOIA, I think the most beautiful thing about this website, and hopefully one day when I have the time and money, I could really sort of integrate this into it. But the beautiful thing about this is that it lets you participate in contacting your representatives, and you can use this website to activate yourself on anything you're passionate about. You're passionate about the border? Use our website to get in contact with your senators and congressmen. Follow our process. I mean, obviously, the verbiage there is not going to be catered to what you're trying to advocate for. But I mean, if you're passionate about it, you know what to say, you know what to do. And so you can use our website to sort of help yourself walk through the process of contacting your reps. And so that's hopefully will be one day it'll really sort of reflect that. But that's the idea. Yeah, we just went over all of our guests, which is going to be a killer lineup. Avi Loeb, John Greenwald, Jesse Michaels, which is the host of The American Alchemist, Grant Levac, Jazz Shaw, F-16 fighter pilot, retired, Chris Lato. We've got Red Panda Koala. It's going to be a really, really, really cool panels and discussions. They're going to be very grounded, as scientifically based as possible. And we'll I'm sure the conversations will woo out event, from time to time. But we always try to come back and keep ourselves grounded, and just try and advocate for the best data, the most clarity. And anyone should be able to get behind this effort.
Yeah, that's really one thing that I really enjoy about the Big Phone Home event is the fact that it is so simplified that anyone can do it, and then that's the best way to do it, because everyone really needs to be involved in this process of it's just like you need to be more involved in bring more attention to the subject, and just bring more attention to the fact that we, as the people of the U.S., the individuals in power, they serve us. They answer to us. Yeah. Supposedly, they're supposed
We're
to.
the taxpayer, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We fund this stuff, so we have a say. And I think it's very easy to be cynical and be like, it's not going to help. It's not going to do anything, man. Like, okay, I guess we'll see you later. Right. You don't want to participate in this democracy. That's fine. We're looking for people who are. And the thing is that, the reason why I made the website is because people are busy. People have shit to do. They have bills to pay. And if you're asking them to contact their lawmakers, you better make it easy for them. And so that's the whole point. It's like copy and paste. You get your senator, your congressman, you put them in an email, you copy and paste the message that you like, or all of them, and send it separately to each one, and then you email it out, or you print it, fold it, put it in a letter, God forbid, lick a stamp, put it on an envelope, write an address, and actually mail it to your congressman and senator. That's insanely impactful, and any one of these things can be printed out and you can do that with. This stuff is important, man, but you have to make it easy for people. It has to be accessible. And that's what we've really tried our best to just make it literally less than 20 clicks to go all around and do a tweet, do an email, do make a phone call, and sign a petition. Those are 4 things, Right. I think it's a lot easier. We're trying to take all the intimidation out of it, because some people have never called their car. They don't know what to expect. They don't know, that they can actually do this. I think it's high time that we activate ourselves and look in the mirror and say, hey, if I want more information, or if I want change on this, or this, these are the steps that I have to take to do it, and at least if I do this, I could say, hey, have you called your senator? Have you ever written to your senator or congressman? What is the harm in doing this and making people aware that they can do this? I think there's none. I think it helps. Right. I don't think it hurts, going back to my earlier thing. And, yeah, man, I'm really proud of it. And the team that's helped me along the way, and the people that have helped make this event, as popular as it is.
As you should be. It's a fantastic effort to really do something that's really important. And one thing that I'm still it still sort of gobsmacks me every once in a while is not everybody, there's still people out there who don't know what FOIA is. They don't even have the inclination or the awareness that you, as a citizen of this country, a tax-paying citizen, citizen have the ability to file a document request with the government and say, I want to know more about X, whatever the subject may be. Because FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, a lot of folks don't know. It's not just for UFO stuff. We have a crap ton of information, as regular viewers would know. We've covered on this program recently a crap ton of information coming out via FOIA requests just in the past few months about the corruption going on at Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and Moderna and FOIA stuff that happens with the military, civilian casualties they're not telling people about. Like the Freedom of Information Act is such a valuable tool. And the one of my biggest points is, because we always see these messages, this rhetoric all the time. Oh, we have to fight misinformation. We have to fight disinformation. And the government always trying to push this narrative. And my stance has always been, if you don't like misinformation or disinformation, if you're opposed to conspiracy theories, just be transparent, because those things would not exist if you were open and honest about what the flip was actually going on and made people had a trust in our leadership again.
Don, you hit the nail right on the head. And that is exactly what I would ask a senator or congressman if we can get one on the Big Phone Home this year. That is the problem we have right now. Is you've got idiots like me who are doing grassroots efforts, who are starting channels, I've also had an experience, right? Mm-hmm. But I never try to put that experience on the table as proof as something is real. Right. Like I can't do that. It's not responsible of me to do that. I need proof that I could show everybody that meets the same standard as actually experiencing one of these things. Yeah. Short of a massive, sighting that everybody would be like, okay, can't deny that. That's real. Right. Short of that, like I think adding clarity and being honest about this discussion is crucial. That's why we want the 3 videos. The full versions of them, because we need to add clarity and some definitiveness scientifically, whether or not this is something that everyone should be paying attention to. And it's also a topic that if it's true, right? And I don't want to even get into what it could be. But if it's something that we learn that is a paradigm shifter, it could erase borders. It could do a lot to bring our civilization together. Big time. If you just for a second just be calm and actually think about that possibility or what this could mean. And the FOIA is the most powerful tool to try and help get to some of that clarity. I really think so. Again, I could be naive. It could just be my passions talking, but I need to know from a senator, am I wasting my time? Right. Am I wasting my time? If what I saw was 13 was actually, and I do think it was special just because I wasn't alone. There was a lot of people that saw it. The adults in the room were very confused and it was really close. And even as a 13-year-old kid, I could sort of go through the Rolodex of things it wasn't.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So that's similar to
I'm 13. It's a memory, right? Yeah. Like it's a memory and memories change. Scientifically, that's a fact. Mm-hmm. You're not accessing the actual memory when you think about it. You're accessing the last time you thought about it.
Yeah.
And so things change, details change. So I need some closure for me, and so that's my question to a senator. Like we need clarity so we can bring people closure, or at least give me the full confidence that, hey, my efforts and my passions and the things that I'm doing in my life aren't leading me down a path of self-destruction.
Right. The validation that what you're doing matters. I completely understand that. And your experience, it's somewhat similar to mine. I've told the story on the show a few times before when the topic has come up. I mean, I was 10 years old. My mom and I, we were in the car, we were going down the highway. It was around like dusk-ish, like not totally sundown, but like it's sort of getting there towards like, there's twilight, that little in between And we stop on the side of the road for one reason or another. I'm 10, I don't remember why. And I look over past the highway. There's 2 lanes of traffic. I look over, and then there's a forest, and I just see a light moving across the sky. And at 10, I know what an airplane looks like. I know what a helicopter does. I'm generally familiar with the aerodynamics that our aircraft don't go up and down.
Right.
They don't have vertical ascension. But it was moving. It stopped. Then it lowered itself a little bit. Then it shot up like super fast. And even at 10, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem
Right.
normal.
Right. Never seen
And-
that one before.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember airplanes doing that. They didn't teach us that in school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that's what sparked my interest and made me curious, because I was like, okay, what is it? Because I know it's not what I know it's not. Essentially, it's just like I recognize that's not an airplane, a helicopter. Our aircraft don't do that unless I saw a satellite or something. And so that's what really made me interested. And so of course, in middle school, I'm when I'm supposed to be doing my work in class, I'm on the computer and I'm looking up stuff about Roswell and Area 51 and the Phoenix Lights and all this sort of stuff. It sparked a passion in me to become more curious about what's really out there. And as I've become older, to bouncing off what you mentioned earlier about how this disclosure can really open up people's minds and really bring our civilization together. As I've gotten older and really started, I guess, philosophizing about it, it sort of started looking at the bigger picture of humanity as a species, of what is all this division that our species goes through with these borders, with religions, with politics, or whatever. We are a carbon-based life form that in the history of this planet, in the contextual history of this planet, our species has only been here for the blink of an eye. We're on a rock hurtling through space at 1,000,000 miles per hour in this vast expanse. What the hell are we even doing fighting about religion and politics and these imaginary lines that we call borders? It's nonsense in the greater scheme of things. And that sort of plays into my passion about it, because it's like, if we were to have a mass event where a civilization, another civilization, came down and pretty much said, hey, screw it. We're not waiting for the governments to tell you guys, we're here. We've been here. What would that do to our society? How it would flip everything on its head. I think there'd be a lot of mass hysteria. But at the same time, I think there'd be a lot of people like, wow, this has completely changed my view of the world, or of life, not just the world and the universe and the galaxy and everything. And, inspire people to really, look at the bigger picture of things and reevaluate a lot of what they consider to be important.
Well, I have 2 theories to this, because it depends on what they land and do. If they land and they say, and again, this is such a egotistical and earthly way of looking at this, but if they landed and they said, we're here, we're real, deal with it, right? And then they got in their ship and they zoomed away.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow people would be talking about it. It would be the hottest thing. And then something would happen. Okay. Something newsworthy would happen. And then boom, our attention would be right where it was the day before it landed.
The public has the attention span of a goldfish.
It's tough. But if they landed and they said, this is who we are, this is where we come from, and we are here to essentially implant ourselves into your society. Here's our technology. Here's our politics. Here's our science. Here's our, religion. Let's say they have a religion, whatever they come down and do. I think that's when it's a paradigm shift. I think that's when it's, okay, we're changing our textbooks. We're changing our entire infrastructure of politics and economy and the work structure. I think that's the only way it changes on that kind of level. I think a lot of people think, the reason the government keeps this hidden is because it's a technology issue. If you release the technology, that means the oil companies would never get any more money. And it's like, we have that technology now. It exists. We can get off. Well, not even hemp, but nuclear. You know,
Yeah.
We have submarines and aircraft carriers that run off of nuclear reactors, essentially. You know, they don't have to refuel for hundreds of years. If they're good enough to power aircraft carriers, which are literally moving cities on the water, why can't they actually power cities? And they're safe, they're clean, they're environmentally friendly. They provide essentially unlimited power. You know, that's something that it exists today. We can do that today, but because there's such a stigma with it.
Well, not only that,
here's
it's
the thing.
also, the corporate monopoly, that also plays a huge factor of it. And just such a multitude of things that really play into it.
Yeah, there's still ways to profit off it though. Look what Elon Musk is doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like he's got his own fleet of quick chargers, and those things aren't free to use.
Right.
You know, like, so there's ways to profit off this. Those corporations.
I think it's just the old heads, I guess you could say, just
for sure
sort of stuck in their
For sure.
ways.
Absolutely. I think it's a dying class of elitists that are slowly losing their grip on this structure. I think the next generation will see the advantages of this tech.
Yes.
And I think they're going to say, hey, wait a second, Shell Oil, why are we giving you all these subsidies and all of these things when we're looking over here in our own technology from the Department of Energy, and we can power these things. We can give these patents and grants to other companies, or we can just give it to you.
Yeah.
If you want to switch over, and start doing this type of energy, because why can't Shell and all these corporations, because nuclear does produce waste, but compared to the waste that oil and plastics produce, it's not even close. It is a microcosm compared to what we're producing now. I don't subscribe to those kinds of theories as to why the government is hiding this stuff. I think the government just for a long time, and I still think part of it is today, that they have no clue what this is. They don't know. Maybe they have ideas, they have theories, and they're much better than any of ours because they have way more data. But I don't know if they've reached any conclusions on this. And I think
a big thing that plays a part of it is that typical part of human nature of when you don't understand something, you're afraid of it. And I think that plays a big part of it is the all-seeing, all-knowing state has no comprehension of what they have in their possession, and that scares them.
So they hide it.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. Like, I can sympathize with that. I could understand, again, just saying, if Roswell was real, if somebody spilled the beans and accidentally said, oh my God, an alien craft landed here, and then a general came and said, no, it didn't. Like, we need to change the story, and we need to hide this and hide it now. And all the reasons, I could understand them. Like, I could totally sympathize and understand why the intelligence community would do that to this topic.
Right.
But I think it's slowly it's almost like when they grabbed the topic, it was an ice cube, and now the ice cube's beginning to melt and the water's seeping out.
Right.
And that's what we're getting, because again, the technology is catching up to the secrecy.
Yeah.
You're not like iPhones in 10 years are going to be movie studio. They're almost a movie studio now.
Yeah.
I could shoot 4K on this. I just don't have the bandwidth to edit and do 4K. But
we'll hold that thought.
It's coming.
Yeah. We'll hold that thought. Feel free to join us for the last half hour. We're going to head to commercial break right now. Stick around, folks. Still a great, engaging conversation. We'll be right back after this.
This is Band Questions, take 1. Who?
What?
When?
Where?
Why? How?
Questions. When I was growing up, I had so many questions.
I think that questions lead to more questions. Ignorance is bliss.
By middle school,
A child's curiosity is at an all-time high.
And that's because kids like to ask questions.
we need to help them tune out.
Truth doesn't matter.
Let's just ban questions altogether.
And encourage kids to do what they're told. To be dull and uninformed.
Listen to the voice of authority.
There are limits.
Dare to be boring.
You can't change the world. Let's ban questions.
Be dumb. Be you.
Ban questions.
Encourage kids to obey today. Take the pledge at thejoycamp.com.
We're not asking, we're telling.
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents. And what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right. We're your radio program. We're your station. And we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on therundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right, check them out. They're great, and there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
Hey guys, I'm back with Is that The Bachelor? Oh, great show. Oh, what's up, dude?
Hey,
oh,
you were just in time.
What's up, buddy?
I've got something that'll make our favorite show even better.
Oh, I bet I know what he's talking about. Oh, yeah! That's what I'm talking about. That was what I was talking about.
Is it sativa?
It's just called Truth Bomb.
Truth Bomb Hybrid. You finna get woke.
Oh.
I don't really know what that means, but we're woke, so it sounds like
let's
it's
get even
just fine.
woke.
Hey, you guys, there's a warning on here.
Shall I?
You shall. How is it?
Taxation is theft.
What did you say? You have to pay taxes. Otherwise, who would build the roads?
You're right.
Besides, Big Pharma is keeping us sick.
Wait. What?
What?
It's true.
Try this. Public schools are indoctrination camps.
Oh!
Whoa! This packs a mighty powerful punch.
Wow, that's the strongest little joint I've ever seen.
Let me put this tiny
And
thing
they are
down.
indoctrination camps.
They are.
Take another hit. Take another hit. I gotta see where this goes.
Okay, tiny joint. Do what you do. The fluoride in our water is calcifying our pineal gland.
Oh my god! That makes so much sense! That makes so much sense! That's our third eye! That's our third eye! Hold on. Wow. The Super Bowl halftime show is a mega occult ritual.
Oh shit, it is!
It's in plain sight. Oh, it's in plain sight.
Give me. It's my turn. Circumcision is genital mutilation!
It is.
Oh, they just cut your dick tip right off.
Just cut right off.
And I'm Latino, I should still have mine.
Guys, I have an idea.
Oh, what's your idea?
Rundownlive.com, and we are back. That little clip was from the Joy Camp. If you don't know, or if you're old like me and you don't remember them, definitely head to YouTube and check out some of the videos. They're
I was just about to ask you. Who's writing these sketches for these commercials, because they're hilarious.
Yeah, it's the Joy Camp. They put out sketches like that all the time. I don't know if they're still around, but they did it years ago, and They're all incredibly hilarious. So we started integrating them into the show because, I mean, they hit on a lot of topics that we talk about, and they're funny. Who doesn't like comedy, you know?
That's funny. I laughed. That's for sure. I laughed. That was hilarious.
Yeah. So we're back now. We got the last half hour here. And so I just want to sort of start, going over, I don't know if you and Chanel did whilst I was getting my camera fixed, but start, kind of going over some of the other speakers at the Big Phone Home event. The only one I'm very familiar with is John Greenwald. I've followed his work for many, many years. So let's just, your, co-hosts or whatever the
So Jane Kyle, UFO Jane, as she's known in the community, a Texas researcher and journalist by education. That's what she studied in school. So she's a really great researcher, really wonderful mind. She loves the woo, so she brings that aspect to it, but also questions it in the right way, which is really fun. She's a host on our show every Thursday that we have here on KGRA, every Thursday at from 5 to 7, right, Bill? Oh, Bill's not there. No, it's 5 to 7. And then we've got Rather Be Squidding, who is our other co-host for our show. But same thing, these guys will be helping me co-host and host the Big Phone Home 3. They're my team. They're my two co-hosts all the time. Rather is our skeptic, or ardent skeptic. He actually came to me through our audience. Anytime we were talking about Mick West, he would chime in, and then we brought him on the show, and he would defend Mick West's positions. And we're like, you know what, kid? I like you. So I brought him on the show. Oh yeah, by the way, Bill said it. That's 5 to 7 PST, 8 to 10 EST.
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
In my neck of the woods, it's 8.
Thank you for the correction, Bill. He's Skyping me. But yeah, so those are our co-hosts. They'll be there all day. And then we've also got Ryan Sprague, who is the host for Somewhere in the Skies podcast, and Christina Gomez, who also does her own show, Eyes to the Sky, and she's also co-hosting. So when Rather and Jane take a lunch break, they'll be popping in and helping us co-host some panels. So two great researchers that'll be also helping us co-host. But yeah, outside of John Greenwald, we've got Harvard professor Avi Loeb, who is the head of the Galileo Project and is made some really wonderful steps and is revealing the tech behind the Galileo Project, which is essentially a Harvard study to look at the sky and try and find UAP and get a clear photo of UAP and scientific evidence. So they just put their first unit on the roof of Harvard, and it looks so promising. So yeah, Avi will be talking to us along with Michael Mataluni, who used to be one of our co-hosts of the show. And so we'll be having a discussion with both of those guys about the projects that he's working on and what they found so far. So I'm super excited to talk to him. We've got Jesse Michaels, who's the host of a really great podcast and YouTube channel called American Alchemist. And so he'll be joining us. That'll be a really cool discussion with him and Red Panda Koala, who's a filmmaker here in Los Angeles. And he's done a bunch of killer work on YouTube. If you've seen Red Panda Koala's channel, if you haven't, go. It's a must watch. He does some really great mini documentaries on all sorts of fun topics in the UAP world. We've got a panel with Invisible Night School, which is made up of Nick Coffin Callis, Campbell Moriera, Leah Prime, and a gentleman by the name of Luis Cateo, if I'm remembering correctly. And they are just a really cool group of scholars and thinkers that do some really wonderful panels on Twitter about the UAP topic. There's Red Panda's channel. It's so good. Yeah, I mean, a must watch. We've got retired fighter pilot Chris Lato, who's done some really great videos online and has been a great voice in helping us fight Mick West. But they've had some really wonderful intellectual debates. Chris also agrees with Mick on a lot of his analysis. We need more data. We need more data. We need longer versions of these videos, according to Mick West, according to Lieutenant Graves, according to Chris Lato, according to all the people that look at have really, really broken this video down. No one can disagree that we need more of it. We need more of it. We need to know how far away that object is from the camera so that way we can really get the math pinpointed and perfect. Because if it's farther than 2 nautical miles, that object is enormous.
Yeah,
enormous.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of people say, like, even with the Calvine picture that we were talking about earlier, like, I think the consensus is like, oh, it's 100 feet across, and my first thing is, how do you know that? Like, we have no semblance of distance, and so
Right.
yeah, I'll definitely ascertaining a lot more of that data to get the math concrete and really start calculating exactly, how big are these objects, how fast are they moving, and all that sort of stuff. It's imperative. It's essentially the most important part almost of this entire conversation to really figure out, how big they are, how fast they're moving, what are the dimensions of it, the physics behind everything.
Not only that, but how many of them were they? In some of the cockpit audio that we do have, it's a fleet of them. They also say it's a drone. So they say a couple of things that make this ambiguous. Like, we need more clarity. So when we're asking for more data, we're asking for all the cockpit recordings. We're asking for all the video angles, the full versions of the encounter. Whether that be 30 seconds or 20 minutes. Like, we'd like to see the whole video. I think these are very reasonable requests. These are systems. This is software and hardware that is already obsolete. We took these videos in 2005, and I think Gimbal and Tic Tac were before I want to say 2013 or 2012. I think it was the year. But yeah, I mean, these are old systems. So this idea that, and they're also not in classified parts of the world. Like, these are training grounds over U.S. waters.
Right.
I can understand like systems and methods and trying to, and if there are parts of the video that reveal how they, we don't need, I guess I should correct, we don't need every single aspect of it, but we need enough of it to get the clarity to give science and debunkers and believers and everyone who's curious about this more clarity, more definitiveness, so that way we can stop arguing among ourselves about whether it's real or not real. Like, for me, I don't need this, but clearly the community does. They need something more definitive. They need something more definitive.
Something tangible to really start discerning the facts away from the hyperbole and all of that, the assumptions they're really going
and
on.
Stories. And like, that's the problem with this topic, is that the best stories, the best of the best, seem to all come from the military. All of them. Rendlesham Forest, Roswell, the 3 videos we just discussed, Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac. Cash Landrum, Kecksburg, Bob Lazar, all of them have a military presence to it.
Yeah, that's one thing before we brought you on that I was discussing with the viewers is thinking back to the 2001 disclosure project at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., hosted by Stephen Greer, and they had countless. I mean, there's a 2-hour documentary, I believe, on it where they had countless from aerospace, from physics, from the military, special forces, like all top level individuals giving their personal accounts of things that they've seen, both in the sky, unexplained events, and also things that they have been party to in the military, classified, unclassified, sort of things that really break the mold of, and it goes in 2001, that was earth shattering. Of course, it took place was it like 2 weeks before 9/11.
Yeah.
So the whole media cycle completely got eclipsed.
I think that was an amazing event. And actually, a lot of the influence and sort of great advice we got from Stephen Bassett setting up the first big phone home was in large part because of things he learned from that, and also things he learned from him trying to do this and how not to annoy the Congress and Senate, and, you know, what days to call, and you know, because he started asking me questions. Like we originally were going to call on a Monday, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, we were going to call on a Monday. And he said, you know, I wouldn't do that because senators are busy. They're dealing with other issues. They're making phone calls to raise money. They're busy.
Everybody hates Mondays.
Right. And plus everybody hates Mondays. And he's like, you should try doing it on a weekend and telling them the week before that you will do this, and letting them know that you're going to leave messages on the voicemails, because they're going to come in Monday morning and they're going to check those messages. And so the message will still get there, but it won't. And this was really wonderful logic, and it actually kind of happened for the Big Phone Home 2, because right before the Big Phone Home 2, the whole Afghanistan refugee crisis happened, right? It like literally a week before our event. And you know, it's very difficult to advocate for UFO disclosure when the Afghan refugee crisis is in the news stream,
or when any sort of humanitarian crisis like that is taking place. So
you know, so he's like, if you're calling on a Monday and something like that just happens to happen the same day, you're going to be flooding the phone lines with UFO requests, and people are trying to call in for humanitarian aid to so and so. Sorry, my girlfriend's handing me a coffee right now. Thank you, my love. And so, you know, like that's why we moved it to a weekend the first time, you know, and but this year I was like, I did, you know, as much research as I could as sort of when historical events tend to go down, you know, and around mid-August was like not a lot of huge historical things happened, historically speaking. I'm sure there are some in there, but you know, it wasn't like 9/11 or you know, it was close. We were close, but before it, you know, or you know, something significant like that, or you know, again, like you know, Afghan refugee crisis, or a Black Lives Matter protest, or whatever.
Or even, you know, like an Arab Spring or all of that.
Or even, you know, celebrity X gets arrested, you know, like that's there too. So, you know, that's we try to put as much thought and consideration when planning these events into things like that. But I think this year, you know, we picked a Friday because usually Friday is a slow news day. It's a slow, usually, you know, people are trying to wrap stuff up real early by Friday. So we're like, let's call Congress on Friday, you know, and if they're not there, that's fine. Their assistants will be there. We can leave messages with their assistants and I think make a bigger impact. And also, this year, I really, the first 2 years, I didn't understand Twitter as much, and I didn't understand that you could schedule tweets. So this year I scheduled, like I said, like close to 300 tweets within that 8-hour live stream that are going to be hitting everyone from Post Malone to, you know,
Post is really
my local congressman.
Yeah,
He's
Post is
super
really interested in this subject. You know, that's a guy I would love to get on this show, just because just from what I've seen, he seems like a really fun, really
well. That's a guy we'd love to get on the Big Phone Home. You know, because he'd bring a lot of eyeballs, and maybe he can get some people to call and send an email and tweet
reach out to him.
Trust me, the tweet's there. It's ready to go. It's ready to go, man. I mean, our show is good thing about this is I'm an improviser and actor by trade, so I can adjust to things real easy on the fly. it's super, super simple for me to, when things go bad,
Right.
to be able to okay, let's just do this, on the fly. And
Like
so
this episode, for example, when our
correct, yeah,
the
exactly.
main host has
Yeah.
a power outage.
Yeah, I could pick this up, no problem. And I was gonna say, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but anyway, we're prepared. In other words, like if we did get a Post Malone, if we do get a senator, we have the ability to pivot real quick and to say to our guests, okay, we're going to stop this conversation right now because we've got 10 minutes with a senator. We've got 5 minutes with a senator. We've got 20 minutes with Post Malone, or Post Malone maybe just wants to jump into this conversation. And I sent out links to people that I really respect and love in the field, and invited them, and basically given them an open invitation. Hey, if you want to pop in for a conversation or comment on something, we'd love to have you. And so, there might be some surprise guests that pop in for the phone home. You got to watch the whole 8-hour live stream to find out.
Right.
But
if
the
you
beautiful
don't
thing
find
is,
a way to DVR it, find a way to record.
it's a free event. It's on YouTube. You can share it. It's not going to go behind a paywall once it's up. Like, you can come back and view it anytime. I'm going to try and break it down on my podcast, maybe an hour at a time for the next 8 podcasts or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with it on podcast, because it's a lot of audio. And to be honest, StreamYard only records, I think, 7 hours and 20 minutes, some weird number audio wise, where you can only record audio. You can go as long as you want video, but the software stops at a certain point. Anyway, people don't want to hear about that. Sorry.
Right. Well, we only have a few minutes left here before we wrap up, so I want to give you an opportunity, plug your stuff, let people know where they can find you, what your shows are, all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, well, we got a show later today. If you want to find out a lot more about the Big Phone Home 3, we'll be talking about Calvine a little bit too, and some other things that have happened in the last few days. Our show's every Thursday live on YouTube at the Unidentified Celebrity Review.com. You can find me on Twitter there if you could see us on screen at Lou Angeles. Follow me there for any updates to the event. That's it, man. I mean, thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to let me talk about this fun topic I love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a little quicker plug than I thought it would be. We still have a few minutes left. Just really quick rundown. Let's some of the topics that are going to be discussed at the Big Phone Home, aside from emailing and calling your senators and whatnot, like guys like Greenwald and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about FOIA with Greenwald and Jazz Shaw. We're going to be talking about the developments in fundraising for Harvard and Avi Loeb. We're going to be talking about a UFO timeline that has every single UFO event that's ever happened on an interactive timeline, where you can add and subtract things. It was made by this artist and filmmaker. His name's Tupacabra. His real name's Sam. And so he'll be on. Well, it'll be a variety of things that we're going to be talking about for 8 hours, and it'll be injected with, hey, just a quick reminder. We just send out a tweet or help us retweet, help us, here's the website, like constantly reminding people every hour why we're here. But the discussions themselves, they can range from, we don't know where they're going to go. The conversation, we've had some interesting conversations in the last, in the last 2 events, and awkward moments, which was fun. We have debate and discussion, and we just try to bring as many people together and as many ideas and debate each other, but keep it respectful. Don't take anything personal. Don't take ourselves too seriously, but take the topic seriously. And so that's what we're trying to do. And so, join us, man, tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's gonna be streamed on KGRADB. So if you only have KGRADB, you can listen to it there. So they'll be streaming the whole event. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like cool. Definitely sounds like I'm going to try to tune in. Because just that, to hit on a little more about that that timeline that you mentioned, that fascinates me. That's something I definitely want to check out.
Yeah, it's going to be cool, man. I mean, we're going to have, we're going to, again, try to bring a lot of rationality, but different ideas, different opinions.
Yeah. And that's what people need, especially in this day and age in America with how polarized things have been. Rational civil discourse. Even over something, such a, fringe, even though it's kind of going to the mainstream like UFOs, people see rational civil discourse about a topic where everybody disagrees about something, but they can still have a polite conversation and agree on certain things.
Right.
That it creates a domino effect. And maybe other people see that, well, they're doing it about UFOs. Why can't we do it about X, Y, and Z? And go back to being, rational, civil human beings. But Lou, it was fantastic to have you on this program. We definitely got to get you back sometime soon. Yeah. So thank you for joining us today on the Rundown Live, folks. Like, share, subscribe, share the live feeds, all that good stuff. Tell yourself you love yourself, and do something good for somebody. You don't always have to be, things don't always have to be polarized. That's what this conversation is really about. You can disagree on certain things, but you can still have a polite conversation and just be decent human beings to each other. So do something nice for somebody, drink some water, tell yourself you love yourself, and have a fantastic weekend. I'm not sure if we're going to be live tomorrow. It all depends on whether or not Kristan has his power back on. There's a massive power outage in his area. We found out that happens sometimes. So if we are, then you'll know. And if not, we'll have a rerun plan on KGRA. You can definitely still check it out. Refresh your brain, feed your brain with some of the information we talk about. But y'all have a fantastic rest of your evening.